Time to review that cool Strat. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. This one's here on consignment, and I just love this color. So since we first unboxed it in that bulk unboxing episode, I did a little bit more research to figure out more about this one. So first off, this is a 1960 reissue Stratocaster, so they're building it to 1960 specs. That means we get 60s inspired pickups, you get your slab rosewood board rather than a laminated one. We've got the cool smaller style headstock with this version of the Fender logo. And this devilishly handsome color is known as Candy Tangerine, in case you wanted to custom order something with this. It's kind of like Candy Apple Red, but without the red outer coat, and it's orange this time because, as you can see in your relic areas here, it is a silver base coat. And you heard me right, this is a factory relic. This is not something that someone has played extensively 60 plus years. In fact, this is actually a slightly older custom shop model from the year 2012. So it's a little bit more than a decade old. It came stock with this kind of interesting orange interior case that's a little bit more orange juice flavored than your orange fruit finish over here. But what kind of case candy do we get? We have our Fender COA, which has its production date as well as its model. We've got our vintage style vibrato arm, a Fender Custom Shop branded cable. I mean, that thing is huge. A Fender Custom Shop sticker, a vintage looking pack of extra tremolo springs in case you want to have extra or less tension. Feels like there's two more in there. Then we've got a Fender polishing cloth, an unopened custom care packet, some custom shop picks. Man, they just give you everything, don't they? Including an owner's manual. This thing looks very 80s. So we can flip through that. It's just kind of telling you how to set it up and restring it. We also have a nice real leather strap. Looks like some sort of a hang tag over here. And then this one was initially sold by Chicago Music Exchange. Looks like through Reverb. So we've got another polishing cloth over here, as well as the back plate that someone took off, and case keys. But by far the coolest thing is he kept his original receipt, and if you read it, it says he bought it on eBay, so that was just Reverb marketing material back when CME's owner still owned it. I remember when they were doing that, but look at the price on this thing. $2,849. Nowadays, you can barely even get a Fender USA for that price, let alone a custom shop relic with a custom finish on it. A standard relic Stratocaster built to 1960 specs today is going to run you at least $5,500 now. So needless to say, the value on these things have come up quite considerably. But if you don't mind a slightly older one, you can definitely save some money. But for me, I'm really excited for this review because not only does it have a cool color and the matching headstock, but look at your neck. You get your little custom shop decal there, but it's got so much wood grain. It's beautiful. But then on top of that, it has a lot of flame figuring. It just doesn't show up very well in photos. You have to kind of appreciate that portion in person. But the relic job on this was really tasteful. I can't wait to show you the neck on the workbench. So let's go ahead and trek over there now to learn more. Inside our orange Stratocaster here, it's routed traditionally for 3 single coils. We can confirm it's a 1960 reissue that has been reliced by looking at these marks. Then we have some sort of an identification code down here as well, but nothing in our bridge pickup cavity. But we do have the Fender Custom Shop USA logo also impressed into the body, where it also reads relic. And just for fun, here's a look inside of the route for our control cavity, as well as the output jack. And here's a look at the jack itself. And now the backside of the pickguard. The pickups themselves, they don't have any particular markings. They're just called 1960s reissue single coils. But you've got the shielding on the back of the pickguard. And it looks like 250K CTS pots. All pretty standard stuff in here. And within the circuit, the bridge pickup reads 5.85K ohms. The neck, 5.94. Middle pickup, 5.87. And then you get your in-betweens just for fun, about 3 and 2.98 over here. Now that we've got it on the workbench lighting, let's just take a second to appreciate the relic job. So it's a true nitro finish, so you're going to have finish checking as well as all the nicks and dings. Now I could see there was some non-relicking happening, so I did give this a light wipe down just to get rid of like the obvious smudges and scratches on it that came from a player, which sounds crazy. Why do we like relicking more so than natural wear as a guitar community? I don't know. But this is now back to basically how it left the factory. I like the areas where you can see through to the silver and even a little bit to the body. But they went heavy with the treatment right there. You got the nicks and dings all over. I don't need to take a second to tell you all of them because this is factory relicking. But you definitely have more of a mint green pickguard on this one. And it's got a similar treatment done to it. But I'm sure some of these scratches are through regular use as well, not just a relic job. But you got your regular 1 volume 2 tone layout with a 5-way blade switch, output jack on the front, And you adjust your truss rod at the end of the neck on this one. And we've got a regular style bridge with our Fender branded saddles. I will note, this trem system is really stiff. I thought for sure we had 5 springs on it. But now we can move on from that alder body to our maple neck and rosewood fretboard. I did take the time to polish up the frets on this one, and I conditioned the fretboard because it was kind of looking weird. It had stuff stuck in the grain. You can still kind of see what I was talking about. It was like the whole guitar was turning green or something. It's probably just whatever the aging compound is that they put on stuff. But these frets show minimal wear. You just got a little bit right there. So this was definitely played over the past 10 years or so. But I have a 1.64 inch nut width, increasing to 2.03 at the 12th. First fret neck depth 0.87 and 0.94 at the 12th. These are advertised as a 60s oval C-shaped neck. So basically, you don't have tons of shoulder, but it still beefs up a little bit. Here's a look at that neck profile at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. But I like the way they broke down the finish right here, you know, right where you're playing chords, a natural area where that would occur. It makes the neck feel just a little bit smoother, you know, similar to a satin finish right there. That's the true reason why you buy a relic Fender, because usually it actually enhances the playability. So whether you care for the aesthetics or not, still try them at a store because you might be surprised how much you like a relic Fender neck. They've been doing it a long time now. They've gotten good. Now, oddly enough, the old spec sheet that I found for this exact guitar called it a 7.25 inch fretboard radius. I personally measure 9.5 though, but it has your typical 25.5 inch scale length. But here's a look at our headstock. It's got lots of finish checking on it. And of course they wore through the finish in certain areas. And you've got your Fender Stratocaster decals with your vintage polka down, wrap it around style tuners. Now that we've got it all strung back up again, I wanted to point out the tuners. They have a relicking process to these as well. I mean, they feel decrepitly old. But we saw a similar treatment to like our bridge saddles. You can also see the aging of the screws. But here's what the back of our body looks like. Again, we've got more wear and tear through the finish. All part of the relicking process, finish checking, all that good stuff. With a heavy patch of buckle rash. And the previous owner decided to take off that back plate. I'm going to go ahead and put it on though, just because that's how it left the factory. So here's what that looks like with it on. Not gonna lie, I think I agree with the previous owner. It looks way better without it. But we have our vintage style strap buttons in the usual locations. And you've got some more relicking around the edges. But I don't see any neck pocket finish checks or cracks or anything like that. But there's our serial number, R68749. But now check out the neck on the lighting right here. You can see that flame figuring that it has pretty well on the Workbench lighting. But you can see how it's kind of a taken down finish. Now I could tell it was kind of gummy from somebody playing it, so I also cleaned it up. But here you can also see where they've worn down the finish on the other side of the neck. That's just super smooth. And this is just a nice feeling guitar. Before we get to our Fender Custom Shop decal back here, and the back side of our aged tuners. But how much does this one weigh? 7 pounds, 8.6 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how this one sounds. about this cool relic Fender Stratocaster? What are my final thoughts? I thought this had some really cool lead tones to it with some distortion, but otherwise it's just your typical single coil stuff here. I think this one needs a little bit more of a setup. The action is what I would consider medium to medium high. The saddles have a little bit of room left to go down, but you might need to shim the neck. But outside of that, this thing was a lot of fun. Love the color, love the neck, and I hope you enjoyed this episode too. If you're interested in being the next owner of it, you can find it for sale on my website or over on Reverb. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoy crazy color Stratocasters, you might enjoy checking out old Rocky here, the Fender custom master built super expensive one. You're gonna like it under blacklight.